Okay, so now that we are done with installing, it's time to configure Git, right? So on your terminal, just type CLS to clear everything. So we start on a new window. So also make sure you're connected to the internet. We're going to type git config -- global user dot name, right? And then quotation marks. You need to type your username. Mine will be Tapelo-Larock, and then close the quotation marks. So how do you find your GitHub username? Simply you just have to go to GitHub, right, and log in to GitHub, and then you'll just find your username there, right there. Mine is Tapelo-Larock. So you need to make sure that you type it the way it is. All the capital letters, you need to type them as capital letters in the terminal, right? So you need to make sure that you type the correct thing. Then hit enter, and then we're going to type the very same thing again. Git config global, make sure it's 2 dashes, global user dot email, right? And then you have to put in the email that you used to register on GitHub. Okay, so mine is tapelo.larock@gmail.com. okay, close the quotation marks and then hit enter, right? So we are done configuring GitHub. Okay, we're done configuring GitHub. Okay, so just to explain what GitHub is, right? So here's an illustration that I want you guys to see. So this is GitHub. It's an online cloud, right? It's an online collaboration cloud. So there is developer A and developer B. Take yourself as developer A, right? You are doing your code and you send it, you push it to GitHub, you store it at GitHub, right? And you continue adding other features to your code. You push them to GitHub, right? You store them in GitHub, so that whenever you make a mistake that you can't rectify, you can then say, okay, you can then delete this code on your laptop or on your computer, and then you can pull the previous code that you saved on GitHub, pull it, and then continue working from where you left off, right? So you can either clone it or pull it. It's the same thing, okay? And then once you push your code to GitHub, developer B, which is maybe your partner or someone in the organization that you work in, can then see the code that you pushed or the project that you are working on, and it says, okay, I like this project. And then they can clone your project to their computer, okay, and add some more features, right? And then what will happen is that when they push their code with the added features, they won't go into your GitHub repository, your GitHub repo, right? It will go to their GitHub account, their GitHub repo. So developer A can then choose to clone developer B's features onto their project, which will give them the features of developer B, right? So GitHub is an online collaboration cloud that allows 2, 3, or more developers to work on a single project, even when they are not in physical contact. Okay, so developer A has their own GitHub account, developer B has their own GitHub account, but they can see each other's code and decide if they want to clone the other developer's code or not, right? But then also it's up to developer A if he or she wants developer B to see their code. So there's a feature where you can hide your code or make it accessible to the public. Okay, so that's GitHub. That's GitHub. If you can click on this icon right here, your repositories, right? So these are all my repositories, okay? The artisan dashboard, which is the dashboard that you are using, it contains the code to the entire dashboard, all right? It uses CSS languages, JavaScript, CSS, Blade, PHP, and others, all right? So if you want, you can then download the code or do whatever you want with the code. It's open source. If you guys want it, you can have it. Okay, so that's GitHub, right? That's GitHub for you. So we can also learn how we can push our code to GitHub, right? Let me give you an example. Okay, this is the artisan dashboard, all right? The code to the artisan dashboard. Okay, you just click here and type cmd to open the command prompt. All right, so after I have edited my code, okay, now I want to push it to GitHub. All right, I will have to say git add space dot, right? This space dot means that I am adding everything, all of the code that's in here, right? All of these files, I am adding them to GitHub, okay? But if I want to add a specific file, a particular file, I will then type the name of the file or folder, right? Maybe I want to add the artisan file. I will then type artisan, right? But normally we just put dot to add all of the files, okay? Then you hit enter. What it will do is that it will add all of the files to GitHub. Let's wait for it, right? So it has added some files, right? The columns, add columns to users table, right? And then we must commit this addition. We're going to say git, okay, going to say git commit dash m space quotation mark the message of your commit, right? So added add underscore columns. Oh no, okay. Add columns to users table, right? So you can put any message here. It's a message that will appear here, right? It will appear here, okay, once you have added the files, right? So let's continue. Click enter, right? That's done. And the final line of code, actually command, it's git push. This command is the one that sends everything to GitHub, okay? Hit enter. It will then send everything to GitHub. Done. See? Then I can then refresh here. See? So it gave the message now. I uploaded this now. Added columns to users table because there were some edits I made in the public directory, and in the database directory I made some edits, hence it gave the message that I just committed right now. Right? So that's GitHub. The other commits, I made them 11 hours ago. Right? Good. So that's GitHub in a nutshell. That's not everything, but that's the important things that we will be using for the duration of this curriculum.